Stella Luz A. Kimbo of the 2nd District of Marikina City for her privilege speech. I so move.
The Honorable Representative Stella Luz Kimbo of the 2nd District of Marikina City is recognized for her privilege speech.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, magandang hapon po. I rise today to bring to this august chamber's attention a matter of grave importance. Land Bank, a government financial institution, has lost its way. It has turned its back on its chartered mandate, serving farmers and fishers, agrarian reform beneficiaries, and MSMEs. Instead, it now puts all its effort towards competing against the biggest private commercial banks. And sadly, it insists on the non-disclosure of critical information concerning loans contracted by LGUs, specifically the City of Marikina, despite my repeated requests as representative of the city's 2nd District. Article 3, Section 7 of the 1987 Constitution states that the right of the people to information on matters of public concern shall be recognized. Access to official records and to documents and papers pertaining to official acts, transactions, or decisions, as well as to government research data used as basis for policy development, shall be afforded the citizen, subject to such limitations as may be provided by law. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a call to uphold a principle deeply enshrined in our democratic framework: the people's inviolable right to access information, particularly on issues that profoundly affect their lives and the future of their communities. Under Republic Act No. 3844, Land Bank was established on August 8, 1963, to promote public interest, primarily by serving as financial partner for development initiatives. Its mandate is clear: to contribute to the development of the countryside, primarily through financing agricultural and rural projects, supporting farmers, fisherfolk, and small enterprises. However, Land Bank's lending profile as of July 2024 tells a very different story. It is reported that in 2024, 61.38% of Land Bank's outstanding loans, totaling 694.55 billion pesos, are extended to large corporations, while only 0.09%, a mere 1.07 billion pesos, goes to individual farmers. Loans to cooperatives account for just 6.61%, while SMEs receive 4.09% and LGUs 10.55%. These numbers reveal a glaring misalignment with Land Bank's original mandate of supporting farmers, fisherfolks, and rural communities. In stark contrast, Mr. Speaker, back in 2015, Land Bank's priority sector loans accounted for the highest share of its total portfolio, representing 68 to 73%. Notably, 8.87% of its loans, or 38.5 billion pesos during that time, were directed to individual farmers, clearly reflecting its focus on rural and agricultural development as envisioned in its mandate. Now, instead of focusing on its core purpose, Land Bank has shifted its priorities to large corporations, which already have access to extensive financing options in the private sector. These data raise a fundamental question. If Land Bank is no longer prioritizing those who need it most, then who is it really serving? Mr. Speaker, it is crucial to remember that Land Bank is not a private institution. Its primary mandate is to empower those who are underserved by commercial banks, not to compete with private financial institutions in servicing large corporate clients. It is a government financial institution funded by public resources and supported by policies that allow it to thrive. These public resources and policies include the following. First, tax exemptions under RA number 3844. Section 75 explicitly states that the Land Bank of the Philippines shall be exempt from all national, provincial, municipal, and city taxes and assessments. This exemption frees Land Bank from the tax burdens faced by private banks, enabling it to retain more of its income and channel its resources toward fulfilling its mandate to support farmers, fisherfolks, cooperatives, and underserved sectors. Second, under EO 55 series of 2011, Land Bank's role as the depository bank for government funds is central to its operations. As the official depository of government agencies, this monopoly position generates a steady and reliable source of deposits, allowing it to mobilize funds for its lending programs more effectively. Third, de facto equity infusions by the executive to Land Bank come in the form of regulatory relief, such as granting its requests for exemption from dividend remittances. By law, government-owned and controlled corporations like Land Bank are required to remit a portion of their earnings to the national government. Yet, Land Bank has often been exempted from this requirement, enabling it to retain billions of pesos to strengthen its financial position. This exemption is effectively a subsidy from the public. Lahat po ito, Mr. Speaker, ay ginagawa upang makapagsilbi ang Land Bank ng tungkulin na hindi kaya ng isang commercial bank. Binibigyan ito ng suporta para manatili itong malusog at malago, alinsunod sa layunin nitong tulungan ng mga sektor na pinakamalayo sa abot ng pribadong institusyon. Sa makatuwid, nakikinabang po ang Land Bank sa taong bayan. Unfortunately, Land Bank has now evolved into an institution that behaves more like a private commercial entity. Its priorities now appear to lean heavily towards profitability. And while laudable in the private sector, it must never sideline transparency and accountability, especially when public funds and taxpayers' money are involved. In its intent on transforming itself into a commercial bank, Land Bank appears to have abandoned the vision for which it was created. Land Bank seemingly has chosen profit over its mandate. This mantra of profitability is no clearer than when you look at Land Bank's lending policies for local government units. Today, Land Bank blindly lends to LGUs, not because of developmental goals, but simply because it is profitable and practically risk-free. LGUs are often spoiled by Land Bank as their national tax allotments serve as security for the loans they procure. Land Bank no longer scrutinizes whether the funds borrowed by LGUs will be used for critical and impactful projects, nor does it evaluate whether these loans might deplete LGUs of funds meant for vital social services. For Land Bank, one thing matters. The loans are 100% secured by the LGU's automatic allotments. Beyond that, it seems not to care how the funds will be used. This irresponsible approach is also perhaps the reason why Land Bank refuses to disclose to the public records of LGU indebtedness. They have abused the provisions of confidentiality, relying on Section 301 of the Manual of Regulations for Banks, or the MORB, to shield their questionable lending practices from scrutiny. By doing so, they prevent the public from seeing how Land Bank prioritizes its profits over its developmental mandate, all while hiding behind a veil of secrecy. What makes this especially concerning is that LGU loans, unlike private loans, are inherently matters of public accountability. These loans involve taxpayers' money and directly affect the delivery of basic services and local taxation. Yet, despite this clear distinction, Land Bank has chosen to hide behind confidentiality clauses, leaving the public in the dark about critical information that they are entitled to access. For several months, Mr. Speaker, I have sought clarity from Land Bank's leadership regarding loans contracted by Marikina City, as it has come to the attention of the people of Marikina through a news article posted by the Philippine Daily Inquirer in May 2024 that the city has the highest debt per capita in the National Capital Region with an outstanding debt of 3.6 billion pesos. This is not a small matter. It is a massive loan that was entered into, and as I will describe later, in the dark. Sa madaling salita, hindi alam po ng mga Marikenyo. In fact, city officials deny the existence of such loans. To put this into perspective, the 2023 annual audit report of Marikina City, published by the Commission on Audit, discloses that our outstanding debt of 3.4 billion is already larger than our entire annual budget, which stood at 3.09 billion in 2023. What makes this even more troubling is the lack of information available to the public regarding the terms and purposes of these loans. Aside from the total amount of loan and interest incurred, as reported by the COA, there is hardly any specific information on how these funds are being utilized. Residents remain clueless about the projects that these loans are financing, even though they will ultimately shoulder the burden of repayment. This is in stark contrast to other LGUs, such as Manila, where in 2019, Land Bank itself issued a press release for Manila's 10 billion peso loan, clearly outlining the projects to be funded, such as the construction and renovation of the Hospital ng Maynila Medical Center, the pamantasan ng lungsod ng Maynila School of Medicine building, and the new City Hall building. Sa makatuwid, Mr. Speaker, malinaw kung saan gagamitin ang mga pondong iyon. However, for Marikina, no such transparency exists. Land Bank has provided press releases for various LGU loans, showcasing the projects covered by such loans, yet there is one glaring exception: the loans contracted by the city of Marikina. Why are we being treated differently? Why is there no similar disclosure for Marikina's loans? This would not have been a problem if the loans were contracted under usual circumstances, which is that every loan would undergo prior approval by the City Council. However, in the case of Marikina, a blanket authority was granted to the City Mayor under Resolution number 141, Series of 2019, and Resolution number 118, Series of 2022. These resolutions authorized the Mayor to negotiate, transact, and enter into contracts, agreements, and other deeds without the need for prior deliberation by the Sangguniang Panglungsod. This raises serious concerns, Mr. Speaker, because the Local Government Code of the Philippines, or RA 7160, explicitly requires that a Sangguniang resolution or ordinance be passed for every loan agreement. Specifically, Section 297A states that the local government unit Sanggunian must approve the ordinance or resolution authorizing the local chief executive to contract such loan, credit, or indebtedness, and to appropriate the necessary amount for its payment in accordance with existing laws. This requirement ensures that the details of every loan, its purpose, terms, and conditions are deliberated upon and made transparent to the public. In most cases, residents expect that loan agreements pass through council deliberations and are made known to the public. Pero dito sa amin, sa Marikina, hindi ito ang nangyari. Mr. Speaker, kaya't marami ang hindi nakakaalam na may malaking utang na pala ang lungsod. Hindi namin alam kung saan ginamit ang mga pondo mula sa mga utang na ito. Transparency is critical to ensure that these loans are utilized for legitimate and beneficial projects that truly serve the people of Marikina. To gather more information, I wrote to Land Bank requesting details on all loan agreements entered into by the City of Marikina. However, Land Bank President and CEO Lynette Ortiz invoked the confidentiality clause or Section 301 of the Manual of Regulations for Banks, claiming that such information could not be disclosed without the borrower's consent. But, Mr. Speaker, Section 301 clearly pertains to private borrowers, not LGUs, whose loans are a matter of public accountability. Land Bank's stance ignores the unique nature of LG loans, where the ultimate burden falls on the public. Wala bang karapatan ang taong bayan na malaman kung saan at paano ginasta ang utang na sa huli ay sila rin ang magbabayad mula sa kanilang sariling bulsa? In another attempt to obtain further details, I wrote to PCEO Ortiz again on May 24, 2024, requesting specific information on the purpose and terms of each loan. Her reply, sent over a month later, again invoked Section 301, the confidentiality clause of the MORB, and failed to provide the necessary information. Mr. Speaker, these loans impose a significant financial burden on Marikina's residents, yet the bank has persistently refused to disclose the requested information. To underscore the urgency of this matter, I sought clarification from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, which subsequently, on July 26, 2024, issued a memorandum categorically stating that the confidentiality clause governing Land Bank's operations does not apply to loans involving LGUs. Yet, despite this clear guidance from the BSP, Land Bank has maintained its stance of non-disclosure. So to this day, Mr. Speaker, the people of Marikina remain clueless regarding the nature, purpose, and utilization of the loans that they, as taxpayers, will ultimately pay. This refusal raises critical and troubling questions. Ano ba ang tinatago? Why has Land Bank failed to release information that should be readily accessible under the Constitution's guarantee of the people's right to information? Why must we allow these public debts to remain shrouded in secrecy, especially when other LGUs have been transparent about their own loans and their specific plans for repayment? The people of Marikina and the Filipino people as a whole deserve clear and truthful answers. They have the right to know the purpose of these loans, the projects funded by them, and the safeguards in place to ensure that these funds are utilized effectively and responsibly. The harm caused by this lack of transparency cannot be overstated. What if the projects funded by these loans turn out to be white elephants or structures that provide no tangible benefit to the people of Marikina? What safeguards exist to ensure that these funds are utilized effectively and efficiently? The public deserves answers to these questions, and their continued denial represents a gross violation of public trust. I have also heard allegations that my actions in pursuing this matter are politically motivated. Such accusations, while unfortunate, are not unexpected. Let me categorically state, Mr. Speaker, this is not about politics, this is about the truth. I am not asking Land Bank's leadership to take my side, nor the Marikina LGU side. I am asking them to take the side of the law, to respect the Constitution, and to honor the people's right to know. Mr. Speaker, this issue is far greater than personal attacks or individual reputations. This is about the principle of transparency and the integrity of our public institutions. I respectfully submit that this matter warrants immediate action. I urge the Committee on Rules to refer the issue to the Committee on Public Accounts for a full inquiry. Specifically, this inquiry should seek to determine, first, whether proper processes were followed in the contracting of these loans. Second, whether these loans were utilized for projects that provide meaningful benefit to the people of Marikina. Third, why Land Bank has failed to comply with its legal obligation to disclose information on these transactions. And finally, we, the people of Marikina, demand to know the details of the loans, how much, for what purposes, where the funded projects can be found, and the terms of loan payment. Mr. Speaker, transparency is not optional. It is a duty enshrined in our laws and our Constitution. The people of Marikina and the Filipino people as a whole deserve no less and the full truth regarding the use of public funds. To allow this issue to remain unresolved would be to condone impunity and undermine public confidence in our institution. Let us not permit such a precedent to take root. Let us act decisively to uphold the principles of good governance, accountability, and transparency. Let us stand for the truth. Let us stand for the people. Huwag po natin hayaan na ang karapatan ng mga mamamayan ay baliwalain. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Honorable